Hey everybody, in today's video I'm going to show you how you can pull in different data into Excel using the data types feature. And so if you're running the latest version of Office 365, on the data tab you'll see there are these data types. So you got stocks, geography, currency. If I click down, there's all sorts of other stuff like foods, geography, animals, all sorts of data. So it's pulling this from Wolfram Alpha database. So think of this as a more credible version of Wikipedia, but not nearly as broad. So the really cool thing about this is, I can type in, let's say, New York City, click on that, enter the data type, select cities, and now it's going to tap into that Wolfram Alpha database. Now if I click on this, I get a lot of information about the city. I even have a map about where it is, got elevation. So all this sort of information and data that I can potentially pull in here, demographics. So a lot of cool stuff that, you'd probably have to spend some time pulling it either from the Wolfram Alpha website or, researching it on your own. So you could very quickly start to build up your own database. So let's say we want to add the employment rate into here. So I could click on this button to say extract employment rate to grid, and it's going to populate it right in there. And so what I could do is, let's say, add another city, San Francisco. And if I convert this to a city again, I click on the cities button, it'll convert that as well. And now I can copy this down because this in essence is a formula here. So it's taking that value in column I, putting a period, and then an unemployment rate. So we could also do that to pull in other values. So again, I reference this cell for New York, put a period, and now I can easily access all those same things that I would have been able to access if I clicked on this button. So I mean, there's a whole ton of information. So I mean, we can even get the weather, total rate of crime, population. I mean, all sorts of stuff that maybe you wouldn't terribly need in Excel. Maybe it doesn't make sense to have all this stuff in a spreadsheet, unless, of course, you're creating a database and you want to compile all this data. In which case, then it might make sense to do this, because the really cool thing is, once you've got these formats in here, you can just copy these formulas down. And if I were to type in Dallas, let's say, in some cases it'll automatically detect it. So right now it's giving me a question mark, so it's not really sure what I'm referring to, because apparently there's a Dallas around Oregon, Georgia, North Carolina. So I'm going to pick the one in Texas. And so in some cases it can figure out what data type you're after, and that's where this automatic selection comes in. But that's not always a guarantee, especially if there's more than one potential option for that. So there are a lot of things that you could potentially do with this. Like, let's say, you're interested in science, you want to get data on different planets. Let's type in Saturn, and for the data type, we can try automatic and see if it's able to detect what we're looking for. And it gives us the option of names. So presumably this is statistics around a name, and also the planet itself. So if I select that, and now I've got this planet icon, so it's clear what type of data type it is. So again, I can click on that planet, and I've got a picture of it. I've got all this data, average orbit, circumference, a ton of data on here. So like I said, the main reason I would see this having value is if you really wanted to create your own database. In this case, it's even got a text from Wikipedia. So a lot of this data is something you could get if you went to the Wolfram Alpha website or potentially Wikipedia, but this makes it really convenient to be able to pull all this stuff into here. And then again, you can just click on the option to add it. And you could also click on this button right here, because when I click on this cell, I can either click on this icon, which will show me that visual breakdown, or I can click on this to insert data, and now I've got a drop down of all these items. And this is the same as if I were to use a formula. So select equals, and now I've got all those different options, right? So I can easily reference them either way. And so when Excel's calculating something, you might see that busy error come up, but that just means it's downloading the data. So I'm going to show you one more example, and that's using food items, because as you saw, there was a food data type. So if I type in apple and I want to use foods, now it's going to populate that. I see a picture of an apple, and it's got nutritional information. I've got information on serving sizes, on calories. So in theory, you could potentially use this to track calories if you wanted to. But the one limitation of this is going to be kind of a hit or miss based on the data that's in there. For example, if I were to type in a Big Mac, right, and I try, let's say, click on automatic, see if it can figure out what I'm looking for. So it has Big Mac burger, right? And the calories, if I pull this down, 539, that seems about reasonable. Now, if I were to type in a Whopper, unfortunately, not a love for Burger King here. So it gives me a field error saying, hey, we don't know what this is. So even if I were to try to manually select food, no luck there. So it's a bit of a hit or miss. So you can't really entirely rely on this to have every single food item, every single potential city in the world. It's going to be dependent on the database that you're tapping into, which is probably going to be coming from Bing or from Wolfram Alpha or whatever data points Excel's pulling into. And so this is a relatively new feature of Excel. There's a lot of cool things that you can pull from here, but I mean, if you're designing a financial spreadsheet, creating models, you're probably not going to need it for that purpose. It's more if you're trying to construct something or trying to do research on something where you might find it useful to pull in data. Let's try one more here. Let's try I noticed people on there. Let's type in Bill Gates. I assume Microsoft would have plenty of information about him. Click on people, and sure enough, you get a picture of him, full name, all sorts of notable achievements, even net worth. So yeah, a lot of data that you can play around with as far as what you want to accomplish with this. I just wanted to show you that this is possible to pull in all these different data types in case you wanted to have add another element maybe to your Excel spreadsheet to diversify besides just having numbers and stats in there. So it's a really neat feature, but I think for a lot of users it's not going to be all that useful. But anyways, I hope you found this video useful, and thanks for watching.